As the weather is now changing, I thought I would do a video where I have to keep 2 fragrances for life for each season. This is a very difficult list to make because, of course, only having 8 fragrances in total is very difficult and a reviewer's opinion changes throughout time. The way I've decided to construct this list is that for each season I would choose a daytime fragrance and a nighttime fragrances, making this overall 8 fragrance list we have here today, guys. Maybe you agree with my decisions or not. Let's watch and find out. For the autumn season, you're sitting somewhere in between the freshness of the summer fragrances and the intensity of winter. You want fragrances that are not too complex, not too cloying like in winter time. You want something that focuses on notes that are spicy, amber notes. These are generally the good notes for the autumn time. Coffee is another good one as well, I think. So those kind of notes are going to do well in this season. For a daytime signature, I would go for this, and that is Terre Parfum. This is the warmer amber version of the original's earthy orange smoky vetiver DNA that's massively blended, one of the best fragrance creations ever made in the industry by Jean-Claude Ellena. The Parfum apparently has better performance than the Eau de Toilette nowadays. This is a masterpiece DNA that I always have to have in my collection. It's pretty much in all my for life fragrance videos actually, or at least most of them. It's complex and it's something that you learn to love even more and more of each wearing. Every time I wear this fragrance, I never get bored of it, so that means it's a for life fragrance. You don't want fragrances that you'll just get annoyed with and just get bored of eventually, like Versace Eros. This is like the complete opposite of Versace Eros. That's why I always have to have Terre in my collection. The Parfum is more autumn appropriate than the Eau de Toilettes, definitely. But both concentrations still work. For the evening, I'll go with Prada L'Homme Intense. This is autumn in a bottle in my opinion. This goes a bit darker than the original, has more character. It has that intense, elegant, powdery iris that's really suited for the evening time. Although I do think you can wear this in the daytime, so it's useful as a 2 fragrance list here for the autumn time. This has that perfect thickness, that intensity that's perfect for the autumn, good for rainy weather as well. I just feel like this works in that weather. This is dark, elegant, powdery, and very high quality. This is niche quality, in my opinion, in a designer packaging. 10 hours longevity with a medium projection. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. Then for the season of winter, you are kind of going all out. You want fragrances that are multi-layered, are complex. They use the heaviest notes, things like vanilla, the spices, the ambers in here, the very intense woodiness like sandalwood or guaiac wood, smoky notes like incense. This is kind of the opposite of the summer season, where you get probably the most interesting fragrances for this season. You don't care if you're gonna be too cloying. Usually you want strong fragrances that can pierce through and fight through that cold wind. Coldness generally tampers down fragrances. You need heat to activate them, so having naturally strong fragrances helps this season, and you usually don't have to worry about performance. For the daytime, I'm going with this Tom Ford Oud Wood. Now this is a bit awkward because I just said you don't have to worry about performance. This old bottle of Oud Wood I have here is a great performer. Nowadays, Oud Wood doesn't project as much. Okay, people are saying it's not as good as it used to be. Then go for something like Thameen's Carved Oud. There are a variety of Oud Wood clones out there you can try out that have good longevity, good performance. I just love this DNA so much, I cannot exclude it from my for life list. It smells incredibly sexy. It is synthetic oud, but it's very sharp, woody handsomeness. It smells like a forest that has these sexy ambers and hints of vanilla, cardamom in here, kind of enveloping it and making this really sexy, unforgettable DNA that's just memorable. And again, similar to Terre you don't ever get bored with this. This is a DNA that's timeless. I absolutely love it. So I have to have this in my collection. And then in the evening time for winter, I'm going with Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. Another Tom Ford again, 2 in the same season. Noir Extreme again, is so special in my collection that I have to have it. It uses a very unique gourmand kulfi note in here, which is an Indian dairy dessert that is just super creative. It's got spiciness in here, the florals, the vanilla, again, multifaceted, thick. It's not a beastly projector, but it's more of a reserved evening scent, more of a date night scenario kind of fragrance. But I just find it so creative and so memorable that I need to keep this. And then in spring, the plants start to bloom, the harvest is in, good times. Usually now, again, you're going in between the intensity of winter and the freshness of the summertime, similar to autumn, but autumn focuses more on the warm notes, whilst I think spring It suits more this season to have notes that are a little bit green, more woody and clean, and then also a little bit floral. So kind of like the bouquet, the springtime, the plants coming out, that kind of vibe suits this season the most. For the daytime, I'm going with Loewe 7 Cobalt. One of my favorite blue fragrances, one of my favorite recent, so it's been a while now I've had this fragrance, but it's one of my relatively new fragrance discoveries that I think is a super underrated blue scent. This could be in the summer list as well. It's a bit difficult putting this in the spring list because it doesn't have those notes I was talking about, but it smells a bit woody, it smells peppery, but fruity, very blue, fresh out of the shower, but it's done in a very natural way. It doesn't smell synthetic like a YEDP, and it smells a little bit more playful and relaxed compared to something like Bleu de Chanel. It doesn't have that weird ambroxan of Sauvage. That's why I just think it's a very nice blue fragrance that's underappreciated. It smells Mediterranean is the way I would describe this. It has enough thickness to last 6 to 8 hours, so I do think it kind of does fit that spring category really nicely, but it's a spring and summer scent overall. I wasn't sure how to take out my summer fragrance picks to put this in there, so I can't put this in the spring list instead, but this could be in the summer list also. But there's certain fragrances you need to keep, so you need to move things around a bit. And then in the evening, I go for Fahrenheit by Dior, the original. You can wear this in the daytime and in the evening. With springtime, I always associate this fragrance with it. I don't know why, I always feel like reaching for Fahrenheit in that time of the year. It's fiery, leathery, it smells like petroleum and leather. Very distinct, classic, woody as well, but it has that greenness from the violet leaf in here, which gives it that sharpness, which kind of gives that petroleum effect. That violet leaf, that greenness works really well. Green Irish Tweed would work really well here. CH212 Men NYC would work really well. These green fresh fragrances work perfectly for the springtime. Again, Terre d'Hermès Eau de Toilette would work really great here also. Then in the summertime, it's a tricky season actually, because you can get very boring scents that are very simplistic because you don't want something that's too complex and overly cloying in the intense heat. As I said before, heat already activates your fragrance. You don't want too much attacking your nose, especially when you're hot and bothered in the intensity of the sun. So you're gonna get simplistic fragrances here, more refreshing. Some guys really love this season. For me, it's not necessarily my favorite. Maybe it is actually, it depends, because you need to find a really interesting summer scents that are not too cloying, but still have really interesting concepts in them. My daytime pick would be Chanel's Allure Homme Edition Blanche. I've talked about this fragrance many times on the channel. This is a masterpiece as well, one of the Chanel's best. Maybe up there with Coromandel. Maybe these two are the best. Maybe Bleu de Chanel maybe is a third. Anyways, very good brand. But Allure Homme Edition Blanche is an interesting concept, as I said. Not the best performer, maybe 6 hours on my skin. It's a very creamy meringue pie-esque gourmand lemon, which is very interesting. It's different. It makes that Chanel elegance pop in this idea. It has some woodiness, some lavender. So as I said, it can get boring with summer scents, but this keeps it interesting enough. It's fantastically blended, just a mastercraft in perfumery, and it's a fragrance I don't even care about the performance that much. As long as it lasts at least 4 hours, you can reapply. And this lasts 6 hours on me, easily worth the money, even though it is expensive. And for the evening time, I'm choosing this. This is Kajal Äican. Äican, wholly recommend this fragrance. This is a 10 out of 10. You can wear it all year round. This is not only a summertime fragrance, but for the summer, again, because it's more of a daytime-esque family of fragrance category here with summer fragrances, you can't really find evening scents for the summertime specifically that easily as a collector. You need notes that are tropical, a little bit sweet, but not too cloying, and that's how I would describe Äican. This is the Tygar-esque family, that sharp woody citrus, made a lot more interesting with tropical notes such as pineapple and passion fruit, and given a gourmand twist with that praline. Because it has that freshness or that backbone of the Tygar DNA, it never makes any of these other notes too intense, while at the same time those notes make it so much more interesting. This is a very sexy fragrance. I would say this is the silver bullet. Some collectors think that fragrances can do everything for them, get them the girls of their dreams. I'm always like, nah, that's crazy. But then this fragrance is kind of like that actually. So then I become a hypocrite because I do think this is an incredibly sexy fragrance that is unisex, very long lasting, very unique creative idea that you don't really get from anywhere else. For me, this is a 10 out of 10, one of my best recent discoveries. It's already in my For Life list, which just goes to show how quickly this has jumped up in my ranks. That concludes this video, guys. What would be some of your For Life fragrances for this season? Let's say you pick one for each season so we don't have the comments being too long. You can do 2 for life if you want as well, if you have the entire list already made up in your mind. Are you gonna try any of the fragrances I've recommended here today, guys? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our recent autumn fragrance video up here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.